Welcome to the Talk to Me podcast with your favorite host, Dumela Marule, where we talk everything life, digital, entrepreneurship, and the economy, with many more fascinating topics, obviously. Hope you enjoy this segment of the podcast and be sure to be tuned in to many more of our shows that are lined up for this season. Now let's get into it. For a pretty long time, battling the idea of, do I belong? Is this meant for me? Why am I receiving this? Why am I deserving of it? Has always been something that's, been on my mind, and it has brought a lot of anxiety, a lot of discouragement within myself and disapproval. And all-rounder, it's basically what I've been learning, that it's actually imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is the idea that even if you are skilled, talented, qualified for something that you are meant to receive or be rewarded for, you have the anxious thought or feelings of, why me? Or this shouldn't be happening to me. The negative connotation of believing that that very thing that you are working or putting effort in is not ideally for you. This has definitely ruled out a big factor in my life, and I have not been very settled in the idea of it, due to the fact that as an individual, yes, I may have started a business, yes, I may be working in a 9-to-5 job that I actually do really like, and I'm in a state of mind where I look at myself physically and I like myself, even though I'm not at the best that I know I could be at, or what is my potential. And the idea of all of these three aspects in my life that I do like, I have the daunting factor of, is this actually supposed to be happening to me? Is this actually supposed to be me feeling how I'm feeling? And why do I like this? Am I supposed to be liking this? And it's so difficult. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it is the most easiest thing to get over, that it is, one area of your life that you are going to just be able to just go over. It's just a season in passing. No, it's not. Until you are definitely prepared to do the mental work and the ability to be self-aware of when and where and how you critique yourself continuously all the time negatively, because imposter syndrome, there is no good to it. As much as someone might convince you that there is a pro to this, there's actually no pro in my aspect, and the idea that you have to fight, because it's a constant battle. It is an inner constant battle that you will have until you come to a place of quote unquote contentment. And for me, I chose to challenge my imposter syndrome. So in the three aspects that I had mentioned, I started a business, and I don't know, well, my mind tells me, well, you might not be successful in this, but I know my actual actions are saying to me that you're actually doing a good job, and your business is just in its 2nd/3rd year, and you've done tremendously to rebrand it, to get it out there. But challenging it in that aspect meant that, are you willing to go out of your comfort zone to now be the face of your business? Because for the longest time, you believed that you could utilize everyone else but you to be the face of your business. And it was a very big jump, a very, very big jump, because it meant that I had to be very confident I had to be very self-aware, and I also had to not care how I may have looked to other people, if I may have been the beauty standard or not. So it definitely challenged that aspect of me, because I sometimes never felt like I was of the beauty standard. I was at that point where I can say my brand is of influence, because I definitely feel like every brand out there is an actual influencer on its own, because if I can prompt you by just you seeing how I look and everything of that sort, be associated to a brand and prompt you to buy into it, it definitely had a form of influence. So I never really thought I was or still am, but challenging myself to say, you are now the face of your brand. Stand out. Be what you want other models, other brand ambassadors that are within your organization to be, And it was not easy. It was really not easy. The second portion is of my day-to-day 9-to-5 job. I don't really talk much about my career path, and I think it's definitely something that I do want to have a lot more conversation with you guys about, because I definitely think that we can all learn from the experiences of what someone else went through, especially in the corporate world. As much as I may not be in the fully immersed corporate world, for anyone asking, I studied a BSc construction management degree, an honors degree. So I don't really work for a fully fledged corporate company. I am in the construction and engineering space, but I actually branched into IT. Story for another day, but the idea that you come into an organization, you are the youngest, you are black, and do you belong? Everyone likes you, but do they like you with the right intention? Do they want to see you grow as the way that they put it? Or are you a statistic? And I put this out there, with the idea that that's how you may feel, when you look at your situation. That's how I know I may have felt at that point in time. My idea and this whole back and forth notion that I had, critiquing, this, and be like, who do you think you are? You're not deserving of any of these things. And why do you think you need to be here and prove a point? Why can't you be like everyone else? Just stay at the back and do what everyone else is doing. I had to come to terms with the fact that my character is a forefront character. It can't be a character that's in the back end. I'm quite intelligent, and I believe I'm very smart too. I'm a nerd at heart, but at the same time, the confidence that the older generation in my workspace had in me, and the ability to say, here's room for growth, was the fundamental pillar to where I currently am with my career. If it hadn't been for me saying internally to myself, okay, clearly you're seeing a black and white situation. How about remove that? Be impartial, or be partial between the two, as in don't judge. Come in with a clean slate, and let's see what they say is true, and let's put what you are saying to the test. And only then allowing myself to be vulnerable in that space and say, yes, I am young. That's a fact. I may also be the youngest in the organization. That is another fact. I may be black too. And I may be a statistic. But hey, it's okay. It is definitely okay. But how do you then move forward? So that confidence in them allowed me to be able to move forward and allow room for growth. And it's not to say that that's in every workspace. And it's unfortunate that sometimes the very realities that, trigger our minds and allow us to have imposter syndrome are the very things that can deter our growth, and our success. And that's very true, because in the same narrative, those very factors could have been the hinders of my growth, as opposed to me choosing, or rather the environment I was in was allowing me to blossom, So that's the other portion, And I think the next one was the imposter syndrome of I'm not allowed to like myself. Why are you beautiful? Why do you think you were it? I have it's not like I'm facing a specific diagnosis of any sort, but I've definitely been the one person to see my body change. As much as the world, my beautiful friends and family have seen me evolve, I've seen myself evolve. I was very small in size. And when I say very small, I mean petiter than the word petite. I was very petite. And growing from that to transitioning into becoming my biggest at some point, and then dropping a few kilos, quote unquote pounds, then moving to where I am right now, which is like, I can't say relatively middle ground, but I've never been forced to look myself in the mirror and choose to dislike me. And it's a very tough position to be in, especially if in society you're constantly reminded of where you were. And especially by the older generation, that, you need to look after yourself, because if you don't, you might just regret this decision of yours, And that's when the imposter syndrome then starts to kick in. You start to look at yourself and be like, okay, how am I going to be all of the other things I had stated, and at the same time love my body the way that I should be? And you start talking negatively about you not deserving to be that weight, and I am comfortable. Yes, there is room for growth. I'm not negligent of that idea. There's room for growth, there's room for improvement, but I would like to know that me transitioning into that is not because of what society says. It's not because of a hearsay, and it's not because of my imposter syndrome, or the idea that I can't be the size and be the face of my company and be running a company and be beautiful and fit into anything that I want and that fits me well, and I look good while at it, is that idea. And I think a lot of times we miss that mark. Well, I for sure did, and just proving to yourself that it's damn okay to love yourself and you are deserving of it. And loving yourself is a big term that we definitely don't really dwell too much about it. But the one thing for sure is we need to be confident with us in any season of our lives. and in all areas of our lives, with the idea that there may be room for growth in them and areas of potential. Don't deaden yourself and write yourself off because of something that either someone says, how you feel at that time, because you may be PMSing, or you might just be going through something, or what you're seeing on social media, because that definitely also has an impact. And trust and believe in me, the very people that you compare yourself to, because that's what I realized and that's what I learned actually, is that the very people I usually compare myself to or am inspired by also face the same things I face, also look upon themselves in the same way. And it's very funny because you don't know that until someone speaks up about it. If I had to tell people that there was a point in time where I was not confident, I did not like myself, I absolutely dreaded how I feel, to a point where I care about how people see me, but it's to a certain boundary and it's to a certain level. And I don't impose my views on someone else, and neither do I allow myself to carry someone else's opinion about me into my life. I will acknowledge it, yes, but I will not carry it. So coming to those terms was like as of recent. And when I say as of recent, I mean maybe 2-3 years ago. Prior to that, I was floating. I did not know whether I was moving forward or moving back. I mean, even now I'm still questioning, what's my next goals in life and what do I want to achieve? Where do I see myself once I turn 30? But at that point, it was terrible. And at that level, I didn't have imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome only came after I received my awards, after being congratulated, after the sales come. And then you start comparing what you were then to now. And you're like, well, so once you start sitting and realizing that you can change, life is meant to change, and you are deserving. God has placed you on this earth to receive and impart tremendous amount of good energy, tremendous amount of love, happiness, and all the positive characteristics, and it's only you, your imperfection, and the devil that work against you. God has never worked against no human. So it then just opens a different idea. So once you sit down, and if you've listened to my previous podcasts before, and trust and believe you me, I will not edit that part out. I think for me, podcast needs to be unfiltered. All those little minor errors, that's a conversation between you and I. But sidetrack is that you need to sit and really meditate and really journal and ask yourself those very difficult questions. If you've been to therapy before, you can go back or continue if you had started. If you've never, or you had recently stopped, like myself, I had recently stopped because I wanted to assess if what I was learning was about myself was what I was applying. So I gave myself a window period of, I'm not going to go back to therapy because I want to apply everything that I've learned about, how to digest me and where I told myself where I want to go. And only then do you then realize internally that, damn, you are a great and amazing human being. Like, no one can tell you nothing. Well, people can, but it's just like you Captain Marvel, you know what I mean? And you learn to start embracing it, because just going and embracing it is not easy, but you learn to start embracing it. You learn to start realizing that I am deserving, I am worthy of what I receive, and even more. Tomorrow I might have the same topic talking about me in a different place in my life with different rewards and different gifts of life that I've been offered to have, so I would definitely suggest that you sit down and you reanalyze yourself and be very honest. I had to tell myself, girl, you have a fupa and that thing gotta go. But we like it. We like the fact that we want to eat healthy. We are eating healthy. And it's okay, But it's those things where you just have to tell yourself and be honest with, like, I don't like this about me. Am I willing to change it? What am I willing to do? But does that thing define me? So that has helped. And I think it definitely will help you too. And don't bully yourself into thinking that you are the worst person out there. Do not. Trust me. You are a superb individual embarking on a journey of doing amazing things to the people around you and to you. So carry on in that journey. Carry on believing or conditioning your mind to believe that you are worthy of being in that space, of receiving that thing, of being in the presence of whoever you may seem to be inspired by. And from me to you, it is been a pleasure. So, cheers. Thank you for listening to the Talk to Me podcast. It was an absolute pleasure sharing my thoughts and experiences with you and just taking you along this journey. Be sure to follow us on all socials and be on the lookout for our upcoming digital ebook. Till next time, take care and stay shining.